Now that we have flex and grid, I often get asked if float and clear are still relevant. The answer is, of course they are. And now, for the first time, we get to use them the way they were intended to be used. The float property, as applied to this image here, places an item to the left or right side inside its parent container by removing it from the normal flow of the container and literally floating it within its context. The remaining elements in the same parent container then flow or float around the floated container, filling up the available space. In a text editor, we would call this text wrap. And you can see it pretty easily if I go and change something here. So I'll say float right. And then the image floats over to the right and the text flows into the available space left behind. Once we float an item like this, it's often necessary to control what happens to the adjacent siblings, so the text also appears inside the same container. Do they fill the available space, as they do here next to the floated item, or do they appear on their own line? That's where the clear property comes in. Now, in the good old days of float-based layouts, we used a clear property a lot as part of a clear fix to ensure containers didn't collapse. And this introduced quite a bit of confusion about what the clear property is actually for and how it works. So let me explain. If you apply clear right to any of the adjacent items next to a floated item, you are saying no item can float to the right or left of this item. Instead, the item is placed directly under the floating item as if it were a block item. So if we look at the layout here, you can see we have this H2 that sits next to the image. Now, if I go to this H2 and I say clear left, we are saying no floated item can appear to the left of this container. So if I save this, the container drops down to its own line and appears as if it were a block item. This is what the clear property does. It clears whatever is on the left or right, saying nothing can appear next to me. You'll also see this very clearly if I then go and change the float to right. Because this clear left says no floated item can appear to the left of this container, but now that the container is sitting on the left side, there's nothing more to the left side, and therefore no clearing happens. If I wanted to clear the same content in this context with content floated to the right, I would have to say clear right. Save that. Again, the content is cleared, and my box appears below the bottom line of the image. Finally, you can set clear both. Clear both just says, I don't really care if items are floated left or right. I don't want any item floated next to this item. So therefore, you'll just clear both items. And this is often what you see in practical use, because if, for example, you were dealing with a right to left or left to right site, so maybe two different languages, then you'd have to either clear left and clear right separately, or you could just say clear both. Bottom line, clear prevents adjacent siblings from appearing to the left, right, or both of any element, and that's what they're for. And now you see how it works and how it can be very useful when you're creating your own float-based layouts.